And Congressman, you heard our governor's pronouncement yesterday, and yet it seems like we are redefining what open means. Can you bring some clarity to this state's situation?
That would be tough to bring clarity. I mean, we'd like to bring clarity, but I look at what's happening at the universities and how they're dealing with that. I'm looking at businesses that still can't get open. I'm looking at, I think it's fun to say that our tourist industry is open, and yet, you've got hotels and restaurants that can't fully open. You've got gyms that can't fully open. If we were open, you know what an open society looks like? It's where you allow adult-free people to assess risk, mitigate risk, and act like adult-free people. And we're not there yet.
We're not there yet, and there's no indication. The governor yesterday didn't give us any type of time frame. We started out shutting down things, and we'll be open up in April. We'll be open up in May. It seems like, Congressman Biggs, we are now expected to accept this as the new normal. Half of full restaurants, bars closed, hotels at half capacity and being threatened to close. What are we watching here? People are getting very, very frustrated. Either they come to accept it, or they're like me, they're very frustrated, and we need to have some type of explanation as to why we're heading in this direction.
Well, what it is, James, we've seen this. You and I have been talking about this for months. The goalposts continually move. They continually move. So, and some of the guideposts that have been set by the Department of Health Services in Arizona have just been unrealistic. And they basically never give you a standardized goalpost that anybody could actually attain. And so you have massive problems. One goalpost that was put out this week by one government organization in Arizona said you got to have either 28 days with no new cases or 40% of vaccination rate. Well, good grief. That means that you're talking a year out, maybe. Who knows? But this cannot be the new normal if you're going to have a free society. And I'm just, and you're right. I would say that there are two groups of people: those who have acquiesced to this and are fully compliant, they'll do whatever. And those, by the way, those are people who are the lineage of 1960s question authority. They're now accepting anything foisted upon them. And then there's the other group like you and I, and we continually question and say, is this right? Why is this? Can you justify this? Does the science support this? Does the data support this? And generally speaking, it doesn't. It doesn't support any of this stuff.
It doesn't support it, and I think it's going to come to a point, or it's going to go one way or the other. We're seeing that some people now are being rounded up for not wearing their mask and social distancing. That hasn't happened here in Arizona yet, but I suspect it has to come, Congressman, because there are folks who are just not going to do this. They're not going to just hand over their liberties to unelected bureaucrats in white coats and nonsensical governors with a different agenda, and that's when the rubber's going to meet the road. Do you think that I'm too far out there on that?
No, and I'll tell you what else. I'm grateful for the legislators in our state, Fincham and Townsend and Warren Peterson, Travis Grantham. There's others who are calling, let's get back, because the reason that you're seeing this in part is because the legislature is not in session and can't get itself in session constitutionally to deal with this issue. And there are elected representatives, and they need to be in there basically providing a check on unbounded so-called emergency powers that are being used by the executive branch. And we have got to get these legislators back in to really pitch for us.
It's amazing. Listen, I want to ask you this. I originally wanted to bring you on because I wanted to get your take on what's happening with the decision tomorrow by the president, this Supreme Court nominee. I'm excited about it. Congressman Biggs, how do you feel?
I also am excited about it. I've seen the four people who are on the really, really short list. I think Amy Coney Barrett is probably going to be the pick. She's a logical pick. She's recently been vetted. She's a great jurist. She's a great person. Anything that they're going to say is going to either be made up or bigotry. So we're already seeing the bigotry. In one of my hearings this week, the argument was, well, you know, President Trump keeps appointing Catholics to the bench. I mean, can you imagine if a Republican said anything so bigoted as that? This thing would be already being burned down. But the reality is it's going to be a good thing. It's the right thing, and we're going to get another. We're going to get probably the first true conservative woman jurist on the United States Supreme Court, and she's going to be a textualist and originalist, and that's really what we need to have. Somebody who's going to apply the law, not try to create the law from the bench.